Presented by Listen Headlines. Latest financial news from trusted sources. Updating daily noontime New York City.
New York Times Business.
March 14, 11:08 America New York, Encanto tops chart for 9th week. Will it be the last? The soundtrack, which includes TikTok-fueled hits like, We Don't Talk About Bruno, may soon be ousted by 7220, a new release by the Chicago rapper Lil Durk. The Encanto soundtrack, with songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda, is the album with the longest run on the Billboard 200 chart since Morgan Wallen's Dangerous, the double album.
The Library of Economics and Liberty.
March 14, 10:53 America New York, where did we go wrong? Is it our fault? A moving story by the Financial Times Berlin bureau chief, Guy Chazin, allows us to see a hidden kind of individual tragedies resulting from Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Its cost to ordinary Russians, a message from Moscow. It's like I'm in a nightmare.
Digital finance.
March 14, 10:42 America New York, Open Banking's true story in Asia, emerging markets. Digfin series on open banking first asks why disruption has failed to ignite in Asia's developed markets. The post-open banking's true story in Asia, emerging markets appeared first on digital finance.
Armstrong Economics.
March 14, 10:19 America New York, private blog, The Fed, Inflation, Ukraine. Private blog, The Fed, Inflation, Ukraine. Private blog posts are exclusively available to Socrates subscribers. To sign up for Socrates or to learn more, please visit ask-socrates.com.
Daily FX Market News.
March 14, 10 o'clock America New York, Dow, S&P 500, Nasdaq 100 forecasts, stuck at support for liftoff. While the Fed is expected to begin hiking rates this week, U.S. equities are holding near key supports, begging the question of whether the Fed put is completely dead or not.
The Library of Economics and Liberty.
March 14, 9:47 America New York, Quinn Slobodian and some unlikely admirers of the Mont Pelerin Society. This article by historian Quinn Slobodian is fascinating. Slobodian tells the story of the Hewlett Foundation's attempt to reverse engineer the neoliberal project and replace it with a new economic paradigm.
New York Times Business.
March 14, 9:47 America New York, Apple iPhone SE review. A phone for the anti-consumer. Why spend more if you don't have to? The new $430 iPhone meets all the criteria of what most of us need in a smartphone.
Daily FX Market News.
March 14, 9:30 America New York, Options 101, Tips for Traders. Learning what options are, how they work, and most importantly how to incorporate them into your trading strategy can have a seismic impact on the way you trade.
New York Times Business.
March 14, 9:27 America New York, companies partially exiting Russia are under pressure to leave fully. Some companies have revised their plans after being pushed to make a more definitive break from the country. Procter & Gamble, maker of Tide laundry detergent, said it had discontinued all new capital investments in Russia but would still sell health and hygiene products to Russians.
Wall Street Journal Markets.
March 14, 8:55 America New York, will financial stability get nickel and dimed? The leap in nickel prices leaves many wondering what lies ahead, and Credit Suisse strategist Zoltan Pozsar highlights parallels to previous crises.
Wall Street Journal Markets.
March 14, 8:37 America New York, nickel price surge puts Chinese manufacturers in a bind. Producers and suppliers of nickel compounds have sent notices to their customers and investors warning of supply hiccups, price hikes, or slowdowns in their ability to accept or meet orders.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business.
March 14, 8:32 America New York, Rio Tinto offers $2.7 billion to buy rest of Turquoise Hill stake. Turquoise Hill controls Oyu Tolgoi, a copper mining operation in Mongolia's Gobi Desert that Rio Tinto expects will be the fourth largest copper mine in the world by 2030.
Global economy.
March 14, 8:31 America New York, the case against punishing Russia at the WTO. Removing most favored nation status will have little material impact and might damage the institution.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business.
March 14, 8:19 America New York, after Walt Disney, Robert Iger heads to the metaverse. The former Disney CEO and chairman has joined the board of a startup that offers tools to create and sell virtual goods.
BBC News Business.
March 14, 8:08 America, New York, petrol prices set to ease after hitting record highs. Fuel prices are expected to peak this week before falling due to the price of oil dropping globally.
BBC News Business.
March 14, 8:08 America, New York. Petrol prices set to ease after hitting record highs. Fuel prices are expected to peak this week before falling due to the price of oil dropping globally.
Wall Street Journal Markets. March 14, 7:57 America, New York. Rio Tinto offers $2.7 billion to buy rest of Turquoise Hill stake. Turquoise Hill controls Oyu Tolgoi, a copper mining operation in Mongolia's Gobi Desert that Rio Tinto expects will be the fourth largest copper mine in the world by 2030.
Global economy.
March 14, 7:48 America, New York. Xi Jinping faces a fateful decision on Ukraine. China's No Limits partnership with Russia risks open confrontation with the West.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business.
March 14, 7:47 America, New York. Ford revs up EV plans in Europe. The automaker plans to invest $2 billion in the production of 2 new fully electric vehicles in Germany and build an electric car battery plant in Turkey as part of its drive to produce solely electric vehicles in Europe.
Daily FX Market News.
March 14, 7:43 America, New York. FTSE, DAX Technical Outlook. UK and EU equities start the week higher. Reports of positive shifts during recent talks have lifted the short-term outlook for UK and EU equities. Key levels considered for possible bullish continuation.
Marginal Revolution.
March 14, 7:25 America, New York. U.S. pandemic policy, failures, successes, and lessons. My talk at Bowling Green State University on U.S. pandemic policy, failures, successes, and lessons. This was not a black swan event. This was an entirely predicted and predictable event.
Global economy.
March 14, 7:08 America, New York. No shelter for the Fed. When it comes to U.S. inflation, there are problems in the pipeline that have nothing to do with things that come down pipelines.
BBC News Business.
March 14, 6:41 America, New York. Inflation. Sports bras in. Donuts out of cost of living measure. Pet collars and frozen Yorkshire puddings are other goods now used to measure changes in the cost of living.